The first thing we're going to discuss is what you call nostalgia marketing. Okay, so if you guys are on social media in any capacity, you've probably seen nostalgia marketing. It is like one of the biggest things that's been trending for the last, I would say probably a month and a half. Everyone is using some form of throwback to like create emotional ties to the people who are viewing these things. It's all over Facebook. It's really all over Instagram. It's all over TikTok too. So I just kind of wanted to talk about what that is, so that people understand what it is and also like how you can utilize it as a realtor. Okay, so nostalgia marketing, it's essentially using aesthetics, like music, visuals, cultural references, all from the past, and kind of like using an updated version of that in the things that they're putting out. So in videos, in images, in all of that stuff. And really what it's trying to do, the reason that it's working is because it pulls at like an emotional place for people who remember it from the past. That's the whole idea of nostalgia marketing. It's like, how do we utilize something that will create this emotional tie for people, to get them invested in what I'm talking about? So you'll see it across like McDonald's doing it. You'll see Netflix rebooting old shows, right? So when they brought back Fuller House, right? When they're bringing back Malcolm in the Middle, like they're bringing all these things back in the hopes that this emotional tie that we have from watching it back in like the 90s will come in now. And so this is really, really what they're trying to do, especially the things that I'm seeing, all of the nostalgia related stuff is stuff from the 90s. Like that is what I'm seeing. And I think that can be leveraged in real estate because the biggest group of buyers currently is millennials. Okay, so millennials were the ones who were experiencing these throwback things in the 90s at very pivotal ages, right? So if we know millennials are the biggest home buyers, then we know that that's a very big target audience for what they're doing for nostalgia marketing. So it's like, what does that look like if I can leverage that for real estate, right? So this we kind of talked about already, but it's like, why does nostalgia marketing work? And the reason is because it creates this emotional tie. Um, Nostalgia marketing works especially well in real estate, okay, because buying a home or selling a home is pretty emotional for many people, right? This is a very big deal. And so anything that can play into that will work nicely. So how do you utilize it, right? So I think the idea, and this can come across in both video, so on Instagram, on Facebook, even in like the remarks you write on the marketing pieces you do, but trying to say something that pulls at the nostalgia. So, saying something like the kind of backyards where summer nights turn into core memories, right? Or remember riding bikes until the streetlights came on? This neighborhood still feels like that, right? So I think that there's this approach you can use in the if you're making videos for your listings, this approach you can use in the verbiage that you're sharing or like the captions that you're writing to try and include nostalgia marketing, which I think is a really smart idea. Also, like we have to use our best judgment because some listings this works for and some it doesn't, right? So this isn't necessary if it's a brand new, new construction build in a brand new subdivision, maybe this doesn't hit the same. But either way, I just want to put that out there because it is very smart. And this is all over. This is this is one of the biggest trends right now. So another idea is to lean into local nostalgia, right? Okay, so some content ideas. Five things every Grand Rapids or whatever market you serve, right? So it doesn't have to be Grand Rapids, but every Grand Rapids kid remembers. Or old school restaurants that we still miss, right? So I have seen actually some realtors do this very successfully where they've drummed up conversation on Facebook where all they did was simply ask a question that said, what restaurant do you miss that used to be in the area? And then so many people chimed in with their favorite restaurants back from whenever they were open and said that they wish they were still around. But what that did was fuel a conversation, and that totally leaned into nostalgia, right? Because they remember it, they have good memories surrounding it, and they wish that it was still here. Um, what Holland looked like in the 90s, right? Remember when Rivertown Mall first opened? Neighborhoods where kids still play outside. So really what you're trying to do is like lean into, and I think that this does need to be like local community market specific to be effective. So you'd have to determine what market you're trying to like lean into. And maybe it's depending on what the listing is. Maybe there's no listing in this at all. Let's take a listing out of it. Let's say you don't have a listing, okay? But you want to do something for social. What is your target market in terms of location? And then you can use this to, you know, write content or create video or whatever for the market that you're trying to attract. Um, in terms of visuals, okay, so when we're talking nostalgia marketing, the visuals surrounding it, at least the ones that I'm seeing are like camcorder style like video. If you guys remember, like there was camcorder style where you had the REC in the upper right hand corner because like it was being recorded, right? And then it has like a date in the bottom. So like VHS style videotape reels, Polaroid filters on things or Polaroid framing on things. Old family photo aesthetics, there's just like all over people are posting photos of themselves when they were young. And I mean, at least in my group, all of them are going to be like the colors are going to be a little bad, and it's going to be like a photo of a photo, right? Because people don't have them digitally. Like those types of things are the aesthetic when we're talking nostalgia in this context. The music that you choose too, right? So if you're doing some sort of nostalgia marketing, and let's just say it's a video or a video you're creating of yourself or for a new listing, if the goal is nostalgia and you're going to be talking about nostalgia related items for this, the music matters, right? So we're not going to use updated music, like current music for this type of video. So the music you really sets the tone too. There was also this big trend, which I don't know if you guys saw, but it was like celebrities and it had like this Goo Goo Dolls playing song playing in the background. And it was like, hey dad, what were you like in the 90s? Right. And then they flip back to what the person looked like in the 90s. And a lot of celebrities were doing this for themselves. So it was like showing what like the movies and the shows and the things that they were in back in the 90s. That was trending all over. I think that was probably what, like 3, 4 weeks ago, but that was huge and it kind of took off. And so people did plays on that. But I think the visual mattered, right? But also the song they chose for it really mattered too, because it was one of like the most popular songs in the late 90s. Um, so moving on. Um, so again, it's kind of to reiterate like how you use this in your marketing, but like I know that many people when they have a new listing, they create these videos, right? And so all the videos that we see are, you know, an agent walking out of the front door of the home or walking off their front porch and talking about the new listing and like then they cut to like a drone shot or they show the backyard or they do a fast cut to the inside. Like all there's kind of like a formula that many realtors follow in terms of the listing videos that they're creating now. So how do you stand out from that? How are you not just another realtor that's creating a video that you've seen 100 times? How are you doing something different? And so really when we talk nostalgia, it's like, no, you're telling like a memory-based story with this home as opposed to just like 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2,300 square feet, pool in the backyard. I mean, it's just you're really what you're trying to do is pull at the emotional cord and make people more invested in what you're talking about. Okay. So this is memory-based stories for videos on listing. So this is what we talked about too. It's that the biggest group of home buyers currently is millennials, right? So their nostalgia, right? So my group, I know for me, anytime I see something 90s related or like early 2000s, I feel nostalgic. I love it. I eat it up. So if you know millennials are your target audience for because they're the biggest group of home buyers, leaning into 90s nostalgia, early 2000s references. Um, for example, the kid who grew up watching, you know, HGTV finally buys a home. Blockbuster nights, right? If we all remember the times when we would go to Blockbuster and we would pick like a physical VHS tape off the shelf, and bring it home and watch it with the family, like on the weekend or whatever that looks like. I just want to like put that out there. These are trending and doing very well, especially on Instagram and TikTok. Okay. What's next? Best nostalgia marketing for a realtor is often not about the house at all. It's becoming the curator of local memories, storyteller of the community. So I think we know too that most videos that are created now from a realtor is that's not what's selling the house. You're selling yourself, you're marketing yourself, you're trying to attract other clients, right? So you're showing like, hey, this is what I do for my clients. This is a product I create. This is how I market listings. I've talked to a lot of realtors, but like I don't think listing vote videos are created with the intent of like someone's going to see this video and buy this house. It's someone's going to see this video and then they're going to want to work with me because I'm doing a good job marketing the listings that I do get. And that's fine, right? So it's still a great thing to be doing. I think video is still a very important thing to be doing. But I think that we can set ourselves apart and do something a little different. And so for this, it's like, okay, so let's take the listing specific thing out of it and let's look at like the overall point of a video. What we're trying to get the appeal for, or right, I think what the appeal for you is like maybe it's local, right? It's your part of the community. Your this area feels like home and you want to cultivate that to people. And what does that look like? So I included this where it's like stop feeling like another realtor and start feeling like someone who gets this town, who understands the area, who can talk about what life in this area feels like, which I think is really beneficial. Also, you can leverage this. So I'm a big proponent of like create it once and utilize it in 17 different ways if possible, because the audience that sees it on Facebook the audience that sees it on Facebook is different than the audience that sees it on Instagram, is different than the audience that sees it if you print and mail it to their home versus you email it, right? Different formats resonate with different people. And so if you can create the content once and then utilize it in multiple ways, like you're getting the biggest bang for your buck, right? So, not only if you're creating, some sort of listing video or some sort of video, utilizing that in an email marketing capacity too would be really smart. So taking that video and using the content from it. So you could even put that whole video in an email and email it out, or you can pull the content, right? You could pull the content from it, whatever that was written for it, and then use that messaging with a different graphic and use it in an email form, right? So I just think utilizing these ideas and some of these email ideas, and these are just like little bits, right? This wouldn't be the whole portion of what you're sending out, but like little things like homes that feel like grandma's kitchen, but updated. Neighborhoods that still feel like the 90s, the kind of porch we grew up dreaming about. You could do like a newsletter that has a throwback feel, like a physical newsletter that looks like one that your school would send out back in the day. And remember when posts too, which I kind of talked about with like, hey, what restaurant was used to be in the area that you really missed? Either way, I love the idea behind content that's being sent via email not being salesy. It's got to be something that people actually want to open and read. And so if you send something too salesy, I think what you do is like you cut into who's actually going to open it the next time you send something. And if you're going to put effort and energy into something, we want it to be something that's going to resonate with people, that they're going to open and that they're going to actually appreciate getting. So I would just say like, hey, let's be a little cautious in terms of what's being sent because we know that there are millions of realtors in the world and there are tons in Michigan and they're all kind of sending the same stuff. So I always try to encourage people to be a little different. What can you do that's a little bit different? That's not the exact same thing that every other realtor is sending. Think outside the box. And this nostalgia marketing really is just one way of thinking outside the box, but also tapping into what's trending in social media right now. Okay. So this is just kind of like a last minute note on this before we move into what videos are winning right now. If you're going to try and build nostalgia, like hop on the nostalgia train, which I think is a good train to get on, at least for right now, emotional storytelling, retro aesthetics, memories, family-oriented imagery. Okay, those are kind of like and I should have included, when I say retro aesthetics, I should have included music too. So the music choice matters too, especially when you're creating social content. Okay. Um, so, what videos are winning right now? This is important because it's ever evolving, it's ever changing. And so, we kind of like what I say now may not be what's winning 3 weeks from now or 2 weeks from now, right? But this is where we are. So, short form vertical video continues to dominate on every major platform. That includes TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, etc. Okay. What I mean, and so not everyone knows, they're like, okay, you say short form content, but what does that even mean? Short form content, general baseline means that it's a vertical video shot within 60 seconds or less. Okay, so 60 seconds or less, anything, so that's what's dominating all over, right? So if we know that's what's dominating, then don't overcomplicate things and try and go even above and beyond. This is the sweet spot right now. And honestly, short form video like this has been the sweet spot for as many months as I can remember. So there's something to it. And I think what's nice is that if you're keeping it to 60 seconds or less, it's digestible bits, right? It's not so much information that somebody like spaces out or loses interest. Like what we know about social is that it's like their social and like algorithms and scrolling is really good at feeding like endorphins. So like people scroll really fast. They see something they slow down, then they can instantly scroll again. And so algorithms are constantly evolving to like get you to pause, and then the algorithm's learning what you took. It's so crazy because they're learning even where you just pause to look at for something for a little bit longer than what you were, like maybe you look at this thing for 5 seconds, maybe you look at this thing for 1 second, but it's learning the things you're paying attention to. And it especially learns and continues to deliver things based on what you reshare and what you send to other people. Right. So, like, even if you don't realize you're doing it, as you're scrolling and the time you're spending on these things is deciding what's going to be served to you the next time you're online, right? Or next time on your social. Um, okay. So, short form content. God, I lost my spot. Hold on a sec. Here we are. Okay. So, different platforms, short form video can take a little bit of a different parameter depending on which platform you're posting to. TikTok is 15 to 60 seconds, okay? Instagram is 7 to 45 seconds, which is so specific, but that's just where it is right now. YouTube Shorts, 60 seconds or less. Facebook Reels are similar to Instagram. So when we're talking about winning, what people are actually paying attention to, 30 to 60 seconds for storyteller, which I would consider any realtor that's using short form video or video is a storyteller. That's what I would consider. Although maybe you do post some educational content like, hey, here's what you should look for when buying a home. Here's what you should make sure your inspector, whatever it is. I would still consider you guys storytellers when you're using video. So no more than 60 seconds. Keep it short and sweet, or you'll lose people's attention. All right. Winning on video, point of view and identity-based videos. Okay, so this is number one right now. So it's kind of like, hey, you finally leave your apartment for a backyard, and so it's showing the comparison between where you were and where you ended up, or how you got from here to there. Again, story-based videos. I just want it's the point of view is ideal because what it allows people to do is envision themselves in those positions, right? So it's like watching a video and saying, "Ooh, I could be that person who, I'm in an apartment now and I really would love to get to a home with a backyard. I could be this person. That looks great." That's the idea. So, point of view, you're a Michigan family looking for your forever home, right? Like these point of view videos, I think are actually a really good idea, relatively easy to shoot too, depending on what you want the story to be. But I just want to, all of the videos that I'm going to tell you are winning right now, none of them are going to be generic property videos that realtors are doing most commonly. They're just not. So I think that's pretty telling in terms of what people want to see. And I understand that, some people do video and some people don't. And I know that, like I said, there's a formula for what a listing video looks like right now on social media. But I think because everyone does it that way, people scroll past it and they just don't care anymore. And so I would just, again, as we're talking, encourage you to think outside of the box and do something that's actually going to stand apart from the thousands. And maybe it's just because all of my friends on Facebook are realtors. Maybe that's why. But it's all I see. Every listing video is exactly the same, except for there's a couple exceptions. But I'm just like the videos that I'm going to talk about winning. I'm like, let's just see how you could play into any of these on your next listing and then test it. See how it performs against a general listing video that you've done in the past. Okay. And if it performs better, great. Then you know that this is something that was worth doing. I just think it's fun to experiment. And also like look at what's trending and understand why it's trending. Okay. What is it about this that makes it something that people want to pay attention to and people that are watching. There's always a why behind it. Another video that's winning is hyper local nostalgia videos. So I just talked about nostalgia marketing, and I'm still a big proponent of that, especially right now. Nostalgia marketing, we'll get to a point where people are sick of it. Okay, like just like anything else that's trending, we will get to a point where people have moved on and they don't care about nostalgia marketing anymore, but we're not there. So I think it's important to look at what's trending and tailor your marketing to try and tap into those things. Not that every trend is going to be something that you're interested in doing, and that's okay. Like you should decide what's authentic to you and what feels good, and like this is who I am and how I would want to present something out there. But things are trending for a reason. Things are trending because they resonate with so many people, or they bring joy to so many people. There's a reason these things are trending. So I wouldn't say like, hey, if you hop on this hyper local nostalgia video train, then that means that that's the only thing you ever do. You don't create something and say, this is the only way I ever create a video. This is the only way I ever do one thing. Your business needs to evolve. If you're utilizing social media for your business, then your social media approach needs to evolve as anything else does, right? As we've evolved to using the internet in our business, as we've evolved to using AI in our business, as we've evolved to do X, Y, and Z. Your social media approach also needs to evolve, okay? So nostalgia videos, things every West Michigan kids remembers, most nostalgic neighborhoods in Grand Rapids. Again, a POV, your childhood dream home, right? So tying into this emotional connection through nostalgia. Um, Another video approach, fast cuts and micro storytelling. Really what this does is just say like, hey, keep it short and sweet. People don't have big attention spans anymore. They barely have any attention span, if we're being honest, especially on social media, especially for realtor videos. So, like, how do you keep it so concise that you don't lose people? Because you don't want to be putting all this effort into creating these videos that no one pays attention to, right? So you're busy, you got a lot going on. Like, let's make these the most effective possible. So your hook is the first 1 to 2 seconds. You cut every 1 to 3 seconds. Create a question at the end. This house has the most unexpected basement in Michigan. That's a hook, right? So now they're paying attention to the video for what, like, they're like, oh, I want to see what this basement looks like. You've hooked them. And that's the first 1 to 2 seconds. So what we don't want is this kind of, again, it's a little bit of this like, hey, we're kind of sick of it because most listing videos, and I hope this isn't offensive to anyone that does these, but I'm being honest. A lot of it right now, a lot of listing videos are very much like the HGTV, like, hey, welcome back. This is my newest listing. I'm here in Allegan, Michigan. I have this 3 bedroom, 2 bath home. Like, oh, that's what it is. It's like this long intro to introduce this listing, and then it's just the same showing the rooms, and then that's it. Like, that's the end of it. There's no emotional tie. There's no story being told. There's no hook that gets people wanting to see and continue to pay attention. And I think you just keep those things in mind when you're creating these videos. Create them in 30 seconds, right? Like do them raw, edit them yourselves on Reels within Instagram or CapCut or wherever you want to do them. But like don't, and it's also like I think because we feel overwhelmed at having to do these ourselves that we tend to hire someone to do a listing video. That there's nothing wrong with that. But what I will say is when you're looking at the internet, raw, authentic content outperforms polished professional content every single time. Okay, so like when you're hiring the photographer that you're doing on the listing to also shoot the listing video or whatever that looks like, that polished professional video is not going to resonate with as many people as like you shooting your own video and then cutting it into 30 seconds and posting it. It just isn't. So like authentic versus polished, authentic is going to win every time. So keep that in mind too. What does that look like for you and your business? And there's multiple ways that you can um, utilize that. Again, okay, so this is kind of what I just said. I got ahead of myself. Raw, imperfect human videos, okay? Authenticity, outperforming polished corporate content every time. Phone shot video, yes. Talking naturally and not scripting. Yes. Behind the scenes. Hey, why don't you show behind the scenes of the photographer setting up to take the photos of the home instead of these polished, perfect shots of the final product, or both? Right? Behind the scenes shots of the home being staged, behind the scenes shots of what you did to get the home ready to be listed. That stuff matters. That stuff shows the behind the scenes that people want to see. So keep that in mind. Another thing that's trending or doing well in terms of video right now is what they call day in the life content, which also always makes me think of the Beatles song. But it's literally showing like, hey, and I actually kind of love these because I love to see how realtors conduct their business on the day to day. I love to see how much time they're spending with clients on the phone, driving. Like this is interesting. And maybe that's just because the job that I do, but I love to see it. I love to see how people, like I was watching a day in the life video of a local baker the other day who's like, I get up at 3 a.m. I get to the restaurant to start prepping the bread for the day at 4 a.m. It's still dark outside. Like this stuff, I don't know why. It's really interesting to people. So, like, think about doing a day in the life. And I love it. And keep it short and cut it together and keep it under 60 seconds. And I guarantee people will want to see it. Maybe choose a day that's a little more interesting. Like maybe choose a day where like you have a new listing appointment or you're going to a home inspection and then you're going to some event or you're like keep it a little more interesting than just like I was in the car, I had 18 showings and now I'm home making dinner. Like not the best. Like you can choose your day, but I think that a day in the life is lovely. Um, Everything that happened before the house closed. I love this too, right? So people don't see this stuff. What people see from realtors on social is here's my new listing. This listing closed, which is great. I'm glad you're doing business. But what is everything that happened before the house was listed and before the house closed? Right. So, like, people want to know what the process looks like. People want to understand what it means to buy and sell a home, or people want to know what you've done to get that house to close. So, I just think that that's an interesting thing to do. Okay. So, we'll move on. Explaining things simply. Okay. This is, I kind of talked about how I think realtors are storytellers, and I do agree. I do think that that's the goal. I think educational content can also be very valuable to people. Um, of course, there's like a certain audience that's like, okay, I've never bought or sold a home before. So, like, how can you educate me on what this process looks like? But there's a lot of other things that you can educate people on. It's not just, first time home buyers. Again, 20 to 45 seconds. I just say 60 seconds or less. One idea at a time, guys. Like, let's not overwhelm people or try and pack so much into these short form videos that their heads are spinning. What $400,000 gets you in Grand Rapids? What $400,000 gets you in Kalamazoo? What I don't care where you pick, right? Wherever you are. But or do like what 300 it doesn't get you much anymore, but what $300,000 gets you. I mean, whatever you want it to be, but like people are curious about home prices in certain areas. And I think a lot of times what people do is that they post a graphic that says average price point in this area. What would you rather see? An average price point graphic? Or would you rather see a video of a home that says, hey, here are the homes that you can get for $400,000 or less in Grand Rapids? I think a video is going to win. I feel pretty confident about that. Why this neighborhood keeps going up in value. Highlights of a specific neighborhood. That is one also where like the intention behind here is that people will also share them with other people, right? So then you're getting more exposure. And creating conversations among other people about the content that you've created. Okay. Okay, some people are not going to like this one, and that's fine. I know not everyone is comfortable on video. I get it. It's kind of awkward. Some people love it and thrive, some people do not. But you on camera is always going to outperform just like shots of a home. Okay, so that's what we're calling face first content, which is you on camera. Now, you don't have to be on camera the whole time. It doesn't have to be just a video of you talking the whole time, but you need to be seen. There needs to be some sort of human element that is connecting people to what they're watching. Okay, so practice. That's what I would say. Practice. If you're not comfortable being on screen like that, then practice. Okay. And the more you practice, the more comfortable with it you will get. But we really don't don't want people to just like hide behind the footage that they're putting out there. We want people to tie it to you, and the way to do that is by showing yourself on camera. Okay. Okay. This is interesting. So platforms are rewarding retention, rewatchability, shares, and likes. Okay, so they're going to serve more. It's not just about follower count. So it used to be like the more followers someone has, the more times their content is served to other people. But that has changed. Okay, so you don't need millions and millions of followers. What you need is good, relevant content that people watch, share, and like. That matters more. So that's why it's like, hey, instead of worrying about growing your following, which I don't think should ever be your focus is creating good content that people want to see and share. Which is great. I think great news, especially for people who are like, oh, I only have 500 followers, or oh, I am only friends with 1,000 people on Facebook. That doesn't matter as much. But I will say your profiles have to be public, right? So if you're looking to grow a following, or if you're looking for people to share your content and see your content, your profiles have to be public, or people that don't follow you won't see it. So that's just a quick note. But either way, it's not just about count anymore, and that is a change from what it used to be probably about a year ago. Okay. All right, aside from social media, let's take a step away from social media and talk about what else realtors are doing right now in terms of marketing. Okay. What the term I love is local connector. Okay. So when you guys are having conversations, just because the person that you're talking to, or the person that you're emailing, or the person you're texting, whatever, isn't in the market for a home, how do you become the local connector to connect them to whatever resource they need? So I like the term local connector because I think that it forges relationships, it builds trust, it does all of these great things for you. So it's like maybe your goal isn't to be this person's realtor. Your goal is to be a local connector for this person. So like, okay, I live in a certain neighborhood. If my neighbor needed a lawn service company, text me and ask me who we use. Or if they need a new pest control person. I don't know what it is. Like you have mice and you're like, oh, I don't know who to call. Be the person who others go to ask them for like a referral on who to call to get a problem solved. So I like the idea of like making the goal being a local connector, or even just a connector in general. Local ideally for the market you're trying to capitalize on, but connector in general. So some ideas just to like back this are like hosting local events, which I feel like is something realtors have been doing since like the beginning of time and the beginning of real estate. But how many are actually doing it? So I always go back to like, oh yeah, sending handwritten note cards is definitely a thing, and making calls and asking for reviews is a thing. But you have to examine your business and how many of these things are you actually doing? So you know of them, but how many are doing this? So I'm just going to put it out there: hosting local events, spotlighting small businesses. There are so many amazing local small businesses that would love your attention and love for you to put them onto social media. So how do you lean into that on social, but also what I love about like cross branding. So like if you're spotlighting a small business and you can tag the business, then you get tagged in their audience also, right? So like not only do they appear on your feed and in your stuff, and I just said aside from social media, now I realize I've gone back to social media. So I'm just like I'm trying to think of ideas here, but I'm like, you get tagged in theirs, they get tagged in yours because you're collaborating on the same post, and then you're getting exposure to all the people that follow their account, right? So that's just a good way to like get in front of people that you may not have normally gotten in front of. Um, Neighborhood guides. I love this idea. And I'm thinking like print piece. I'm thinking neighborhood guides with print. Doesn't have to be every month, right? That can be pretty overwhelming. But like quarterly neighborhood guide, right? And then you send it out to the closest 200 or 100 addresses around where you live, or wherever it is, ideally where you live, but wherever it is that you're trying to become like this local connector. Um, let's keep moving. Real life events. I just mentioned this. I'm like coffee meetups, neighborhood walking tours. I just got a thing. Okay, so I'm not ashamed to admit this. I'm a very big birder, and in the spring, that is like our hobby. We go when we bird. So I just got invited to this like local birding walking thing with people in the area who want to meet up at a certain trail every week to go bird while the birds are migrating this spring. And I love that idea, but you be the person who comes up with this idea and invites people and gets the people together. Like you're the organizer, right? So it's good to go to these things just to network and talk to other people too. But you should, in some capacity, also be planning them and be the one behind organizing them. So like my neighborhood, I decided to get involved with, but my neighborhood does an annual garage sale where this whole entire neighborhood has one weekend every year. And so I decided to get involved in organizing it, right? So just to meet more people, meet more of my neighbors, be the person someone goes to ask questions. What time is it happening? What date is it happening? How do I get my address on the map you're putting out? Like those types of things, right? Um, I know many realtors who already rent movie theaters and have like invite like families and they screen a movie. And I think that those are well attended. And I think that they're a really nice thing. What you're doing is providing something of value to people, which is always going to go over well. So I like that idea. I do think it's slightly overdone at this point because so many people have been doing it. But I'm just including it here because I do know that a couple of agents that I've talked to who've done it, even in the last 6 months, have gotten a really good. A lot of people are looking for things to do with their kids, especially though, cold months. Movie theater, like I don't know as many people that go to the movies when it's beautiful in Michigan, but I know a lot of people that are like, "Ooh, what are we gonna do? It's dark outside at 4:30. My kids, we want to go do something, and there's some great movie coming out." And so you do a screening and you rent out one screen in a local theater. Um, all right. What else we got here? I'm trying to get through everything, and I know there's a lot of content. And yes, I will be, as I mentioned in the beginning, for those that joined later, I will be emailing a recording of this as well as this presentation out to everyone after, so you don't have to worry about remembering. Um, Create real email and newsletter. I think this is almost like throwing it back to what people were told to do in real estate back in I don't even know, the 90s, the 2000s. It's like send a newsletter. And then people got sick of that or they didn't want to put the effort in and then people moved on to other things. And that's fine, but we're kind of back there. Email is becoming more valuable again because algorithms and social media are so unpredictable. Right. So when you're posting something on social, you have no idea if your people are going to see it, and you don't know which of your people are going to see it, right? So email guarantees delivery, pretty much guarantees they're at least going to see your name in their inbox, even if they choose not to open it and read it. But email is again picking up popularity because I think people are tired of putting content onto social media and not knowing if it's going to land, not knowing who's going to see it, or having pay to play, right? So, like, you can pay to boost your post, but if I don't pay to boost my post, then not as many people see it. And they don't want to be restricted by those types of things anymore. So I just wanted to put this out there. I love the idea of creating a newsletter. Again, quarterly is fine. There's a lot of effort that goes into a newsletter. So, I don't want you to feel like you have to, this is something that you need to take on and do on a monthly basis by any means. But I just love the idea of having something that goes email with your branding, also sending a print version of it if you can. But like, I don't know. The more on social media I am, the more sick I am of seeing what realtors are doing because I'm just like, we're over this. I feel like we've moved on. Like we have to move on. Like we're humans, we're living lives. Yes, we're building business, but like, I don't know. I just crave something different from realtors. Like I crave thinking outside of the box. I crave new ideas. I'm like, who are going to be the people who are like, actually, this is what every other realtor is doing. I'm going to do something different. I feel like people want that and they would want to see it. So, um, okay, this is probably the last thing we're going to be able, let's see, is this the last thing we're going to be able to talk about? Okay, I love this, and I do not think people pay attention to this, and so I want to highlight this. Guys, your Google business profile, your Google business, firstly, if you don't have one, you need to set one up. So step one, okay, need to have one. Second is There are ways you can optimize this Google business profile to make it work better for you. Okay. So, if you type in your name, Mary Skelzady Realtor or Mary Skelzady 5 star, ideally your Google profile is popping up along the right-hand side. What's beautiful about a Google profile, which you guys probably already know, is that it has its own section over to the right and isn't just one of the lists of results that populates in Google. It's its own thing. Okay. Um, so they are a great place to utilize. And I think most realtors are not, a lot of realtors forget to ask for reviews, or they're asking them to be posted to like Zillow, or they're not posting photos regularly on their Google business, or they're not including neighborhood specific content. Like Google Business is another social media platform that you guys can optimize outside of Facebook. Okay, so let's talk about what that looks like. And I'm going to share this, but make sure okay, business name, make sure that obviously that needs to be correct. Correct category, we'll look at those. Areas you service, all of your details, booking and contact links, make sure they work properly. Business hours, I mean, you're a realtor. If you want to set business hours, that's up to you. Detailed description of what you do. FAQs would be great. Photos, reviews. I will say, as with anything, incomplete profiles rank worse. Okay, so if you don't have all of these things completed, your profile will rank worse and you will rank worse in Google results. So category, right? So real estate agent, ideal. There's also real estate consultant. There's secondary categories, real estate consultant, realtor, whatever. But your primary category, make sure it's set appropriately because it matters a lot. Okay. Um, Write a keyword rich description. I'm just wondering how many of you have actually taken the time to write a description that lives in that section of your Google business page. Okay, so if you have, okay, great. Kristen, yes, good. It matters. The keywords in there matter. So where you work, who you help, why you're different, the same kind of like bio you would include on a website, put it there, right? So the same like few things that you would want people to know at a glance of who you are. Keywords, where you serve, certain types of groups you serve, although not being discriminatory. But what I mean is like first time home buyers, relocation, whatever you want that to look like. But either way, build out that description. You guys, those keywords matter and that description matters. Okay. Next thing, photos. I can't look at one more Google business profile that has one photo and then it's a map of the address. This is a place where you can put photos, your logo, your headshots, your team photos, photos of listings, photos of where you work or whatever. This is another social media platform. Okay. So like load it up with photos, you with clients, neighborhoods that you serve, events you've hosted, whatever it is, this is a place to have it. So do not limit your Google business profile to like one or two photos. Add photos. It matters. Profiles with consistent photos perform better because Google sees activity and trusts that as like a signal. Like, hey, this is a trusted active profile, so I'm going to serve it up higher in results. Next one. This is really important, and I know that people ask for reviews or they forget to ask for reviews or they do it on Zillow or they do it on Facebook. If I was going to ask for reviews in one place, it would be on Google. That is the only place I would ask for reviews. I wouldn't send them a list, an email that says like review me on Facebook, review me on Insta, or excuse me, Facebook, Zillow, Homes.com, Google, like Google. Google matters. Google is the only one, reviews on Google are the only ones that play into actual search results. Your number of reviews on Zillow does not have any impact into where you populate in a search result on Google. Google's the only one that factors that in. So that's why I would say to use that platform. So make sure you're asking for those. Next thing is you have to respond to every review that you get. Okay. Again, what this doing is signaling to Google that this is an active, trusted profile. So anyone that writes, or it's almost like a thank you for writing a review, but it also benefits you and where you populate in the search. So if someone takes the time to write a review for you on Google, you write a response to that review, thanking them for doing that, or whatever you wanted to say. Or it would be cute to like tailor it and not just have like a canned response that you post on every single review that you get. But I would just say there should be like action reaction. If someone leaves a review for you, there should be a message back to them on that review just to show that, hey, I'm a human. I appreciate what you do. I'm thanking you for taking the time to leave this for me. So try and like, that is something where I do not think realtors take the time to do it. It's some forget to ask for reviews in general, which is definitely a thing. So if you do fall into that category, get better about it because it definitely matters. And the second is to respond to those. Yeah, Kristen, do you have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, I asked for Google reviews and some people just put like 5 stars and
Yeah.
nothing else. What should we be like
Mhm.
coaching them on what to say? Or remember when we
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
closed,
yeah.
we had this issue and I mean, what would you, if
Yeah.
somebody just puts 5 stars, how do you
Yeah.
respond to that?
Um, oh, it's a really good question. So I guess I think there's kind of a couple of ways that you can do it. Um, one is when you're asking for the review. So how do you ask for the review in the first place?
Yes, so I use this little card. It says, "Make our day, impressed with our service," and I do a little QR.
That's cute.
Scan this QR code and leave us a review. And then it's got my picture and stuff on the back.
Okay.
And so that's what he used. And then he just did 5 star.
You know, some people are always gonna, it's nice that they took the time to leave a review. Those stars matter too in your profile. Words are always going to be better. So if I'm asking for reviews, firstly, like I like that you have it in writing somewhere. I think that there's a mistake made when realtors are like, oh, leave me a review and say it like vocally to them, and then there's no written piece sent. The way that I have always told people to do it is wait till like a week after closing when they're like, that's hard because I guess some like 30 days possession is more common. So, but I would still say like week after closing, 2 week, whatever, when things are still fresh in their mind. I would send an email that says, refer, like kind of saying, I don't know what the email would say. I would need to look at and kind of think about that. But I like sending an email. But in that email, I guess where my head was going was saying something like, stars are great, but your words matter more. Please write a few sentences for me. So, like, I would get specific about what I'm asking for and then hope that that would reiterate, like, in their mind when they're going to leave the review. Because, like, to me, the words do matter more. And so, like, while it says, star rankings are very much appreciated, but your words matter more. My business grows from referrals. If you have a moment, please write a couple sentences about me here. Right. So I guess I would try to be specific in what you're asking for. But when you're talking about having it on a printed piece, that's a lot to ask for on a printed piece. So I can see how to utilize that in an email, but I don't necessarily know how to do that on a business card. Um, can you respond to the star review? Okay, so then I would still respond. Right. So, and then I would still respond. Right. So it's like, even if though they didn't necessarily take the time to write back and say, um, I would write back and say, thank you so much for leaving me 5 stars. I really enjoyed working with you. I would still respond. Still activity. I would still do it. I mean, if you're going to send an email and ask for reviews at some point, I would ask for more specific, but I would still respond. So that's kind of how I would do it. Okay, next thing here is how to optimize post weekly updates. I don't want to overwhelm you guys and say, here's another place you need to be posting on a weekly basis. I thought I was on Do Not Disturb. How is that coming through? Sorry. Um, on a weekly basis because it's already like, oh, I have to post on Facebook. Oh, I have to post on Instagram. Oh, I have to post. Like it's already can be pretty overwhelming in terms of all these places that you're supposed to be posting things. But I do want to make sure you guys know, because most realtors are not posting on Google Business, but you have the option to post on there. So I'm not just talking about adding photos. I'm not just talking about having your general information there. But this is like, it's, as I get said again, I mean, this is a social media platform, right? Google is a social media platform, it's a search platform. But these little Google business profiles, you have the ability to post. I mean, you can post updates there. So it's, if you're, like I said, the more current, active your profile is, the more likely it will populate as a search result. Like that Activity on that profile is what helps solidify it in making in signaling to Google that this is an active account. So that can be done by adding photos, that can be done by responding to reviews, and that can be done by posting. Okay. So that is what I have for this week. I do see that there are some questions, so I'm going to jump in here and see if we can answer some questions real quick. Um, do, 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 do. Thank you. You're very welcome. Oh boy. Okay, wait, hold on. Hold on. I'm trying to get to the top and they keep keep coming in. Everyone stop. Stop. 1 second. Okay. 1 sec, 1 sec, 1 sec. All right, we're going back. Um, Google Business. I like Mary's idea of an email. Ask for them to lead them to what you want them to do. Yes. Set the expectation. Agreed. Be like, stars are great, but your words matter more. Say it in a kind way. But ask for what you want. Be specific. Locked out of Google Business Profile. Okay, Brenda, this is something that happened to another realtor that joined Five Star. They were trying to verify where they were with a new office address, and like Google was like, no. So I'm going to send you an email about what they did so that you can hopefully get yours verified and unlocked. I will send that to you. If anyone else needs those instructions because they're having the same issue, please let me know. Um, Wednesday camera, no more 5-star newsletter. There is a 5-star newsletter. If you guys are in Homebase, there is a 5-star email newsletter that you can turn on to your clients that goes out once per month. It's going to have curated content for you. It's going to have some different articles. It is going to have whatever market you assign to that particular client. It's going to have a market update. You can turn that on very easily. I was encouraging people to go outside of that canned type of email newsletter and do something that's a little more personal. But yes, there is still one in 5-star that can be turned on.
How do you
Mary,
turn
Um,
it
I'm not
on, or
gonna,
is it,
Mary, wait. Oh, sorry, Kristen.
sorry.
it's okay,
Sorry,
Melissa, go
Kristen.
ahead.
The newsletter has been top of mind for me because I agree with you. The more you can customize and personalize, the better. And there's some creative, interesting things that are wonderful. But I found that it was really helpful for me to have that 5-star newsletter baked.
Mhm.
And 5-star in particular, we all get newsletters from other people and subscribe to things and then never hear from anybody. But that 5-star newsletter was well done. It was well formatted. And I found I would be at random places and people say, "Hey, I got your email. Hey, I got your content. Hey, that's really great." So it was baked for me. And I found that super helpful.
Yep,
And
still a thing. Still a thing.
but well, wait a minute. But it won't prompt us. We just go into Homebase. We set it up to auto alert us when we need to get it out.
Nope. It's automatically sent for you.
Okay.
We have let me just write down Brenda's name real
I
quick.
didn't know.
It's
Yeah.
within Homebase, it is you just need to toggle the newsletter on for whatever clients you want it to go to. You set their market. So you set their market for Traverse City or Kalamazoo or whatever city you want it to. And then it's going to send you an email in the beginning of the month that says, "Hey, your newsletter is set to go out on this. If you'd like to add a custom intro, please do so. Otherwise, it automatically goes out."
I
Thank you
I
for sharing that. Thank you. Sorry,
Yeah,
Chris.
Kristen, go ahead.
I did the toggle and everything, but or like I put their areas and stuff in there, but I never got
Yeah.
anything.
So that literally is going out. It was yesterday or today, the first one through Homebase. So
Oh,
we had this previously with Dashboard before we moved to Homebase, and then the newsletter. It's this week or Monday, like that. The very very first one through Homebase is going.
okay.
Okay, so it's
Exciting.
today. Joe said it's today. Okay, so today, there you go. And Colleen, I will send you the Google verification also. Okay. Thank you all so much for being here. I sincerely appreciate it. If you have any marketing questions, you can always reach out to me. I'm always happy to help. Otherwise, I hope you all have a beautiful weekend. And for mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. You all deserve the world. And I hope we have a beautiful day. Thank you.